All right, y'all, here we are.
Hello, everybody.
Back at it once
Hello,
again.
here we are.
It is Saturday night, Saturday evening, and it's that time.
Yes.
8:02 here.
Yes.
Ready to get going with another Saturday night of conversation. How's
Another
everybody
Saturday
doing?
night.
Welcome. Glad to have everybody coming on with us. Hopefully you've had a good week and a good Saturday. It's actually kind of nice.
Yes, very nice, comfortable day today.
I was impressed because I was expecting the worst. I was starting to get on my thick stuff. Went outside to do some stuff outside, and I was like, it's kind of hot out
Yeah,
here.
you had to come in and
I had to dress back down again. It was getting a little warm.
take a
out
layer
there.
off.
A couple layers actually. Had to pull it back. I was like getting a little ahead of myself. But you know what? It is dark outside already.
It is.
The days are definitely shortening because,
right.
like, normally we would have the sun up until
Yes,
like
it would be daylight.
until we're about done, and then maybe
It would start.
it's pitch dark. It's
Yes,
pitch dark out there.
it is. It's dark.
So we got all the lights going on because it is what it is already.
Fall
We're in
and winter is approaching.
Fall is here. It actually is officially here this week.
Oh,
So it really, and it was like that day or the day after the first day of fall this week that the temperature just said, okay, here we go. Time to go.
yeah.
It's change of seasons.
That's what happened.
Well, and I actually was looking out just before it got dark and starting to see some leaves scattered out in the grass. So
Yeah, and the leaves are actually changing a bit.
Oh yeah, they're coming down. So welcome everybody. Glad to have you. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hey, take a moment and share with somebody that we're on right now. You can share conversations on your Facebook page with your friends. Let them know to come and join us. We got some interesting things to talk about tonight, and hopefully you will be a part of it. Phone number is right there. You can give us a call anytime, 951-799-9032. Now, nobody has to ask, what's the number again? It's right there.
It's right there.
Right, so just give us a
Dial
call
in.
anytime you have any feedback, some thoughts, or you can also put your comments on Facebook. We're watching the stream as well for that, and hopefully we can get some good interaction happening tonight
Yes.
on some of the many crazy things that are going on. Good evening, Latasha.
Many.
See there? That's
Hey,
what we want to
how
see
are
right
you?
there. So many things that are going on throughout the country, the world, et cetera, so forth.
Yes.
And, let's just pause for a moment before we go to some other stuff and come back to what's happening right here.
Right here, right now.
Because right here, I mean, with the mandates.
In the United States of America.
In New York State
Well,
specifically.
New York State, yes.
And let's bring it on
But we
home
can
to
bring
Rochester.
it home. Yes, and we can take it on to Texas, too.
Yeah, we'll hold up here for a second. Because these mandates that are going on for the state is requiring healthcare workers to get vaccinations mandated.
Yes.
And it was supposed to happen, I think, last week, and they postponed it by a judge to this week, and it's due Monday.
Yes.
And the healthcare system right now is shaking.
It is.
I mean, it's really shaking because a lot of people, hey, Anthony, what's happening?
Hey, Anthony.
There are a lot of people
All
right
right.
now that are saying they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so they're already starting, you've heard word about closing down certain places, changing certain facilities for other use because they don't have enough people.
Yes.
They're not planning to have enough people
Isn't
as
that
of Monday.
something? Isn't that something?
Yeah, and it's something else. So you have a lot of people that are really, they just don't want to do it.
They do not.
And when you talk about people being nervous or having questions about this, these are healthcare workers. These are people closest to the medical
Exactly,
understanding.
and we need them.
Right. But these are the ones that should, if anybody's going to understand the rationale,
Yes.
it should be the medical people, right? You have
should
doctors that are saying, no, I'm not taking that. So it's there's a lot of people that are standing up to this right now. In fact, earlier today I was out and I saw people out here in our neighborhood up on one of the main corners. They've got they're out basically saying, resisting that that we shouldn't do this and people should resist this, and people are honking the horns at them and stuff like that, So, I mean, people are serious about this. This is getting serious.
So, you know what? If they don't want to take the vaccine, why don't they just stay home, quarantine themselves so that we can live?
But the thing is, they can't
freely.
go. That means they can't work either.
Well, that's the risk that they take.
But the problem is,
It's their choice.
we need some people to work.
Well, you know what? That is very true. You know what? We've gone to restaurants,
Right?
and thinking that we might be able to get a little something to eat late,
yeah.
and they're like closing at 7:00.
And they
My brother went to a restaurant and during
Right.
the day,
Yep.
and there was a sign that they closed at 3:00.
3 o'clock.
because they didn't have enough employees.
But it was a 24-hour restaurant.
24-hour restaurant.
24-hour restaurant closed at 3 p.m. We don't have enough staff. But in the medical profession, it's even more important, right? Because if you don't have doctors, you don't have nurses, so it's a real quandary. We need people to work.
Yes, we do.
People are saying that, look, don't force us. We don't want to do that. We'll go in and we'll wear masks, but you want to mandate us to take this vaccine.
Right.
Hey, I don't know about that. We're not ready to do that, especially if you're pushing us to do it. So the question really becomes, is it right to mandate them? Should they, take it? Should they be expected to take it if they're working in this field? Or, is it, what should happen here? Because we're going to have a big crisis coming up potentially starting next week. If you go, it was already bad enough, not as much here, but other areas is already bad enough where if you go into the hospital, they don't have enough beds for you.
Right.
Now they may not have enough people to help you.
Right.
So it limits the amount of things that they can do. It limits other types of things that can go on in the hospital, all these things that are going on. So, this is a pretty crazy, situation that's mounting up here.
It is.
So
it is.
The real question is,
we're going into another type of crisis.
But yeah, I'll tell you this, my thing with this, and anybody else can comment whatever you think. My issue with this is not the issue of whether people, the forcing of them, but they're out with their picket signs in the street saying we're fighting for our rights. Okay, so they're saying in essence that it's our right not to be forced to take this. And okay, I get it. I don't think you want to force anybody to take it either, right? Not that I don't think they should take it, but I don't think you want to force them. But, it really bothers me when every time somebody wants to do something or not do something, they talk about how it's their rights to do it. Yes. Like, it's some constitutional right not to take the virus. And you see it in a lot of things these days. When people want to do something, they're like, it's our rights to do. We were just on last week with the abortion situation in Texas. And they're like, this is a right. And it has been, by the way, a right in this country. But the thing is, all these things are not rights. When it comes to vaccination in particular, by the way, understand all these rights come because they don't come just because, people like they're God-given rights. No, they're constitutional rights that are given because the people have come, and the people in essence are saying that we and you and those of us have certain rights.
Right.
The Constitution says inalienable rights. But they're given by the people. They never usurp the danger or the risk of the whole population.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what's going on.
You don't have rights that you can do regardless of what happens to anybody else because of it. You can have a gun, you can shoot your gun, but you can't shoot your gun in a place where it can hit somebody else.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You can do all
putting
these
other
things.
people in danger.
You can have alcohol,
risk.
you can drink, no problem. You can drink, but you are not allowed to drink and then get in a car.
Right.
Right, where you can be a public risk to people around you.
Exactly.
And so this is my whole issue with this vaccine. If you don't want to take it, that's your choice, right? You do have a choice. That's your choice. But there are implications that go along with every choice that we make.
Exactly.
Right? And if your choice is going to impact us across the board, the rest of us, then that's a problem.
That's a big problem, yeah.
And so, to say it's my right to not be forced to take this, well, you know what? We do force people to do certain things. That's part of what law and order is about.
Exactly.
In order to help protect the general public. We, the community, say, yeah, you can have your right at home. Don't wear your mask at home. If you don't want to get a vaccine, then go home. No problem.
Right.
But you can't then put everybody else at risk.
Right.
Listen, if you had a venereal disease, and you were going around sleeping with folks,
exactly,
they will put you in jail.
Oh, exactly. You were doing this knowingly.
You
have HIV. People have been arrested.
Exactly.
People have gone to jail.
That's the reason. Look, if you do what you do, get what you get. But you are not allowed to put others
Other people at risk
for what you've done.
Exactly.
And
for your decision.
There have been people already. There was a woman down south earlier this year that sent her kids to school knowing that they had COVID. She sent them to school knowing that they already had COVID. Again, You cannot put other people. You might say, "Well, that's no big deal for me. They're not having symptoms. I'm not concerned about them." But you cannot put other people.
At
You cannot
risk.
other people's families. You give it to their kids. Their kids take it home to their grandparents. You can't put other people's family at jeopardy. That's where your independent rights get held back.
Exactly.
So
you have to draw the line.
yeah. So the whole issue here of, vaccination in particular, to think that, it's wrong to force people to be vaccinated. You can think what you want to think, but we've been forcing people to be vaccinated in this country for decades.
For decades, exactly.
And the
There have
reason
been
is
several
because of the
different-
public health.
Yes.
Right? You may not want to do it yourself. You may not be comfortable with it, but we do it to protect the general public.
Yeah.
Right? So do you think America has done a good job of protecting the American public? Well, it's hard. We protect the general public in a lot of ways. Speed limits help protect the general public. Drinking laws, on the streets. There are a lot of things that are intended to help the general public. What we get into is, are they biased? Right? Do they help one group more than another? Do they favor one group more than another? Those kind of questions
that
that
has
come
happened.
up. And
Yes.
yeah, there are times
There
when
are
certain
times.
things play in one direction more so than another, and they can make be unfair, relatively speaking.
Exactly.
But the idea is to have established laws to protect the general public. Unfortunately, sometimes laws become favoristic in
Yes.
one direction or the other.
Biased.
Bias, thank you. So that's my pet peeve is when
Yes.
people start saying it's my right to do this, and we're like, yeah, but your right affects other people.
Your decision
Your
affects other
decisions,
people.
what you do impact others around you, and that's where
That's the issue.
it's not clean anymore.
Exactly.
If you can go out in the woods, you don't want to, I want to get vaccinated. I want to do what I want to do. I'm going to go out in the woods. I'm going to do my own thing, have my own place. Not going to be around anybody. Knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out. Well, not taking the vaccine, they're protesting, for their rights. Well, you have the right to die too.
Ooh. Did she say that?
I did say that.
Ooh, say that. Yeah, well, you do. I mean, and that's part of the choice you make, right?
That's the
part of
choice that you
that's
make.
part of the choice,
Exactly.
the risk that people are
and
taking.
I don't understand because they see statistics prove you watch the news, you read the paper
Fake
or whatever.
news. Fake news.
And,
We don't believe the
yeah,
news.
well, no. And people are actually dying. And it's 99% of people that are unvaccinated that are actually in hospitals dying from the COVID variant.
The thing that amazes me is that there's still people out there that think the whole thing is a hoax.
And that is bizarre. That is just
That's pretty interesting
Yes,
because
that's-
as much as we see literally around you, and especially in areas where they least believe in these kind of protections, they see it even more. We've seen it here. You can see it rise and fall.
Oh, yeah.
You get to the point when you have family and friends that are starting to get sick, and it becomes
Right.
real.
exactly.
I remember when it first hit here last year, and it first hit in the state, first in New York City, and then here in Greece, right? In the town of Greece. And you heard about it, but I remember when it started ramping up and you started hearing about people, friends of friends, people that are going in the hospital sick, and it becomes real, right? That there are sick people around you, some even dying. And it's like, okay, it's how do you possibly do that? The stat incorrect. First, like you said, 99%. It was 98%
98.
of those that were dying from COVID in the hospital were vaccinated. I think were not vaccinated. 98% that were
98.
dying.
Right.
About 90% of those in the hospital with COVID were not vaccinated, but 98% of those that were dying. That was the stat that we heard a while ago.
Yes, exactly.
So thanks for that. We'll just make sure we got all that clear.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's going on. It's ongoing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next week or so here in the state when, people are just, it amazes me that people are serious enough about this. And that's why I don't take it lightly. People are serious enough about this to risk their jobs and their careers for this. So that tells you they're not playing.
No,
right?
they're not playing. You know what? Because they're putting other people at risk. But if you're deciding that you're not going to take it, well, then how are you going to provide for yourself? How are you going to provide for your family?
Well, keep in mind, these are
So,
nurses and doctors. They go to any other state, they can get a job. So I'm sure
well,
if it comes down to that, some of them will even, they'll go elsewhere.
oh yeah, there is a need for
Yeah, they're
nurses and
needed all
doctors right
over. So
now.
if they
Right.
decide they don't want to work here,
They go work
they
someplace
have
else.
that option to pick up or to go temporarily,
Pack
whatever
up.
the case may be.
And some people have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and do it remotely, whatever the case may be. That has been happening for a long time anyway.
It has.
So
Yes.
I'm sure there's some that will do that, but the fact that they would disrupt their lives that much for the sake of this is
right.
really, you got to say, hey, these folks aren't just playing. They're just not, because if they're willing to go that far, we'll see next week. If they're willing to go that far, it's a serious issue to them, and so we respect that, as well. But man, tough times, tough things going on. All right, so let's jump into some other stuff. There's some other things that have been going on, some of which we talking about on the show tonight. So let's talk about Haiti first of all, and all the Haitians that are showing up at the border. I mean, there have been, thousands and thousands. At one point, the count was up to 14,000. Some crazy pictures here of some of the things that are going on. Now, been a lot of talk about these guys, these Rangers down there, and how they're treating people.
Exactly.
And are they treating them like cattle?
Yeah, they are.
I think
very
that's kind
inhumane.
of descriptive.
Yes.
But there's all kind of things that have been going on now. You look at these folks down here, and my question is, first of all, how do you get to the Texas border from Haiti? Haiti is an island off of, it's not part of the United States.
Right.
So somehow they had to first get from Haiti to South America, come all the way up through to Mexico.
And then to
up
Texas.
to Mexico to Texas.
Yes.
And look at this. I mean, some of these pictures are,
This is desperation.
Check this out. Look at how
Look
many
at this.
people.
They are really, this is desperation.
I mean, that he's laughing. I don't know how you do it, man. That's a journey.
That is more than the journey.
Look, I'm not ready to walk to,
How?
I'm not walking to Wegmans. I'm not
You're not
there
walking.
no more, right? I'm not going to Wegmans.
But
Wegmans
this is how
many
desperate
blocks
these
around the
people
corner.
are.
These folks have come all the way, 14,000 people. It implies some things to you about what's going on in Haiti.
Exactly.
And there are some serious
serious
stuff
issues. Well,
going on.
they have been hit with several disasters.
Not the first time.
It's not the first time. As I've researched, it has been 15 natural disasters, flooding,
Wow.
all kinds
over
of
what
things.
time?
Over there's been flooding, and since 2001, there have been 15. 2001, yes.
It's crazy. It's been
Flooding,
ongoing
hurricanes.
over and over and over again. And the interesting thing to me, Haiti and Dominican Republic are really part of the same island.
Yes.
But you don't hear this kind of devastation in terms of the Dominican Republic that you hear about Haiti.
Well, Haiti really, they haven't had a chance to recover before the next disaster.
Right. So the most recent ones you had.
There was just one in August.
The president got assassinated.
Exactly.
This year.
So that was the
president.
political.
Stop. Pause. The president of Haiti was assassinated. They had a group of people that came in the house with machine guns and literally killed him.
Assassinated.
And
Maurice.
so he was assassinated. Then behind
So
the
that's
scenes,
political unrest right there.
right? And behind the scenes, while that happened, there was a lot of back and forth about the what do they call them? Not the second in command. I forget what they call them. But there was a lot of dispute going on about the person who was behind the scenes next in line. What do they call it? Same thing as in same thing. What do they call? Prime Minister.
Like
the Prime
in Jamaica.
Minister, right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of issue going on, questioning about the Prime Minister. If you go back and read that story, it's pretty interesting because the Prime Minister was the former Prime Minister. He was actually supposed to be coming out of office. His term was up, but for various reasons, he was still in office. And because there was so much unrest going on with their Senate, they never were able to actually affirm the new prime minister. Okay. So the president of the country is assassinated. The prime minister is the one that's not supposed to be prime minister anymore. The new prime minister is not in position, and half the Senate resigns. So it's been total chaos in terms of who's in charge. And you have a lot of things that are just being pushed around by the syndicates behind the scenes, the mafias.
Right.
So it's a messy scene going on with that, which means money is not getting where it needs to get. And
Exactly.
then you have another huge earthquake after
There was
that.
just an earthquake in August.
Right, that's the one after
Yes.
that. I think it was like in the eights or
Yes,
at
it
least
was
sevens.
very,
It was very large.
very large.
And like you were saying, it's been this continuous thing for them. They have
Yes.
never been able to fully recover from anything,
Exactly.
from hurricanes to earthquakes to all these different things that have happened there.
Well, Haiti is one of the poorest countries to begin with.
Right, right. And this is one of the reasons why, because
Yes.
they can never
They
get
can never,
established.
yes.
Right? But like I said, I don't understand, because again, Haiti and Dominican Republic are part of the same island, right? They're literally part of the same island. But I don't know whether it's the side they're on or whatever, you don't hear of all this much disruption on the Dominican Republic side that you hear on Haiti's side of the island. I don't know why. Okay, here's the story. Anthony's talking about it. Well, yeah, this is
Supported
true.
since the U.S. Vatican and all of
only
this
Caribbean-
abandoned them. Yes.
Right, because when they took their liberation, they were abandoned.
Exactly.
If Carl comes on, he can tell this story too. He tells it very well in terms of what happened with with that. So they were left on their own.
On their own, right? When they won their independence,
Right.
And that
They
goes
fought for
back.
their
They
independence.
fought for it, but and
Right.
they won it though. They
said, "Fine."
They said, "Fine, you're independent."
Right.
Yes.
But now you got to do your
yes,
own thing.
it took place in 1804, the French Revolution.
And so as a
Yes.
result of that, or even
Well, that's when
beyond
they won.
from that, they have been on their own. They have not been able to sustain any real, significance.
Significant stability.
Right. They have either from financially or coming up with something, that they, agriculturally, whatever the case may be, they have not been able to find something either to self-sustain or to grow themselves. They have nothing to sell.
No, exactly.
Right. And so they can't sustain themselves, and they have been in constant poor state ever since then. So it's a real mess that's going on. So anyway, they end up at the border. These people, so that's why these people, they say they've had it. They do this mass exodus. 14,000 people end up at the border of the United States. Now, the United States, who loves its immigrants, and had all these complaints when Trump was president about we're shutting down the border, and we're going to build a wall, and everybody's like, no, we can't do this. And now all these Haitians are here, and guess what? We're flying them back home.
We're flying. No, we are rounding them up.
They're rounding them up.
We have horses and whips, and we're going after the Haitian immigrants.
And they're flying them back
And they're
home.
flying them back as soon as they can.
Right. This very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
Now,
and they're putting some of them are in camps, but they're waiting to be processed.
But the question is, I thought this was an issue for everybody. I thought this was a problem. No, we need to let our immigrants in. Why are we holding them at the border? It's inhumane how we're handling them down there, right? All this stuff was so horrible just, a year ago, right?
Exactly.
And all of a sudden now we're saying, no, the thing we got to do is send them back.
Send them back, right.
We
Well,
can't
you know
handle it.
what Trump said, send them back to their countries.
Trump was already sending them back.
He was already sending them back.
Right. But my point is, at that point we were saying that's wrong. You got to take them in, blah, blah, blah. And it's inhumane and all this stuff. And now we're doing many of the same things. They were pushed back from the border. Some of them went back into Mexico, and they're setting up camps in Mexico because, they can't obviously get through the border right now. We're not accepting them or can't accept them fast enough. Right now, the justification that's coming from the government is that it's too much of a COVID risk. And that if COVID gets in the border, that it'll just be devastating, and they can't have that. So they're saying, look, we can't have this happening, and we can't take them. So they're sending them back. But, same situation, different reason, different rationale. I don't know, whatever you want to say. But the bottom line is, here we are again. You've got all these people rushing to our border, and we're blockading the border, and we can't handle them.
Right.
One of the things that President Biden is being Biden is Trump. Start a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
With a question mark at the end. So one of the issues people had was Biden was saying when he comes in office, we're going to handle this immigration issue. We know how to do it. We're going to do blah blah blah. And instead of getting better, it just progressively gets worse. So was it Trump, or is it the season that we're in? Is it just what's going on right now in the rest of the world?
It's what's going on in the rest of the world.
Right.
It is the season that we are in. There's a lot of political unrest. There had actually been a lot of disasters. People are in distress. And they think that America, being in America, can answer their problems.
I like the Biden is Trump thing.
I like that. I said Biden is Trump now.
I think we need a bumper sticker. I can see it now. So Biden is Trump.
Biden is Trump. Well, I'll tell you, Trump
some
certainly did leave Biden with a mess.
Well, the world and the country is in a mess.
Yes,
and
it is.
Part of the reason it's in a mess is our politics, because we don't really work together to fix problems. We just fight and then hold posture, and then figure out who's going to have the most power to push it their way.
Right.
But we're not working together, and it's a major issue to the whole of the country. Right? We go through all these issues divided.
Exactly.
There's really has been little of nothing that has happened that would cause us to unite and work together to solve a problem. There's so few, right? Maybe 9/11.
Yeah.
Right? Was one of those things that we kind of had some solidarity around. But you think about how few things that even these major things that are going on, and we're fighting and scrapping with each other the whole time, every time.
Every time.
It's got to be so wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't want to be
We can't seem to find a middle ground because there's such polarization.
I pass on any nominations for president. I pass on it.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Because you can't win. You can't win.
can't.
Right? If there's anything we should have learned by now, when you've been around, we've been around a few presidents, right? You go from Reagan all the way through, to so many different ones. Clinton all the way through, from like Clinton forward, right? From Clinton to Bush to Obama, to Trump, and now to Biden. You can't win as a president. You can't.
You really can't.
You can't win. You cannot please all the people.
We call that the hot seat.
Oh, it's more than a hot seat.
You're gonna take that seat?
It's the aging seat. It's the pain seat.
It's a heart attack.
A great mayor. Listen, I got enough jobs, bro. I got enough. We gonna support Malik and see what he gonna do, because I got enough jobs.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's just you can't win in this culture. And the question is, Biden came as the uniter, right? I'm going to unify us. I'm going to bring us together. I'm going to make us all, come one again. And here we go again. It's the same issue of it's just not happening. And realistically, I don't think there's any one person that can make it happen.
I really don't.
It's just not that simple. There are too many other forces that oppose. Right? And that keep everything separated. So, I don't know what's going to happen there, but,
Well, you know what? America is built on separation.
Yeah.
It's been divided from the very beginning.
Right.
When you think about it.
But think about it. Like 13 states, right?
Yes.
All of strong opinion, want to have their own independence, but they learn how to override their differences and unite for a common cause.
In some
the
cases,
issue is
yes.
not necessarily being different. It's learning how to rise above your differences for a common cause.
For a common cause.
And you would think something like a virus that is killing us, over 650,000 people in the United States alone have died from COVID.
Right.
Over 650,000 people. I forget how many million people have been infected, but you would think if there was something that was going to unite us, it was the fact that we, the people, are dying in major levels, that we're losing friends, that we're losing family members, loved ones. If that's not going to, unite us, I don't know what it takes. But every time we go there, then we just shift right back to politics as usual. We're on this side, you're on that side. We got to do it our way. You got to do it your way. It's a horrible cycle.
It is.
That we've gotten into.
It really is.
And I don't really know how we get out of it. So, let's reverse the question for a moment to those that are out there. When it comes to the Haitians and all these things that are going on, we showed these pictures a little bit earlier. What do we do? What should we do? We're talking about what's happening and what should not be happening. Look at this. All these people. That's crazy.
It's sad.
So it's one thing to sit back
really
and criticize,
sad.
but the reality is, what do they do in a situation like this when you have this many people, standing up at the border? By the way, I don't think that's our border because that's not our flag. This must be a picture elsewhere. But if you have this many people in and around the borders, You know, what do you do about that? You know,
Look
these are
at that.
definitely from the
That is
border.
that's
That's from
desperation.
inside, I believe, of Mexico, where they're setting up these
The
temporary
camps.
camps.
Yes.
But this is definitely from the border. So in case somebody says, "Eh, it's false advertisement," right?
No,
These are
this
definitely
is the board. This is what is
from our border.
happening.
And this
Yes.
area in Texas is a pretty interesting area they found, where there's kind of a dam here, and people can walk across the water here because of the fact that it's so shallow. And so everybody just found this place. And you got to know, word of mouth, everybody's saying this is where you go. People are following everybody to find this
To
place.
find it.
This is like a journey, this is like the journey through the wilderness. That
Yeah,
the Israelites,
exactly.
nobody knows where they're going. They're
It's a
following and
journey from
hearing.
the south up north.
It's just crazy to think that these people, look at this guy with his box on their head.
A box of
And,
what?
and you can't get wet. You can't get it in the water. So they managed to carry it all the way across without, I mean, it's
a
crazy.
bag.
It's crazy, the stuff that's going on there. So what do we do? What is the right thing to do here? There could be one scenario where you say the more humanitarian thing to do is to send them home because of the danger and risk of them being here. I mean, if you're going to take how do you take 14,000 people
That's
in
a lot
Texas?
of people, right?
And where are you going to put them?
Exactly.
And you have to quarantine them all because you don't know if they have the virus or not. So how do you actually bring these people in?
Yes.
It is in all fairness an overwhelming situation to have to try and deal with.
Yes.
So again, I don't envy anybody as this responsibility. And again, the politics come out, and when it's not going well, they immediately jump into blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's Trump. Trump left us with this mess. Well, Trump wasn't near there when there were 14,000 Asians coming from everywhere. And so it's not. These things are not easy. So we got to understand that. But then also you have to, deal with the realities of how do you really deal with stuff like this when it comes up. So let's shift in our latter part here. They had a second conversation, or third actually, I guess we wanted to have about this man.
Yes.
And speaking of Trump, this is General Mark Milley.
Milley.
He is the chief head of the staff of chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of our U.S. military, Army, Navy, Air Force, all of them combined. He's the chief over them all. He's been in that position for a while. Clearly, he was in that position under President Trump, still is in that position today, right? Very respected. Been a couple things that have come up about him. If you remember, there was a situation with President Trump while he was still in office where he he left the White House in the middle of some rally that was going on. They had clear people out of the way. He went in front of a church and he's holding up the Bible upside down
Yes.
in front of the church.
Demon seed.
Well, Mark Milley was there
Yes.
with him. He escorted him over, and he very much apologized to the soldiers after that because his long-standing principle is that we are not supposed to be in politics. And he didn't realize, I'm sure, what he got himself into. And so this is a man that actually has been relatively respected for his role.
Yes.
And
for a long time.
And he's responsible to help guard this country. And that's no small deal.
No.
Right? And so I don't know exactly how long he's been in position, but he's been a relatively respected person. But then we heard just last week that at the end of the Trump era, during his term, when things were getting a little crazy and haywire,
Yes.
right, around the time of January 6th, before, during, and after, there was a lot, and we've heard, and there was a new book that was just released this week was why all this started coming out.
Exactly.
But we heard that there were a lot of things going on in the White House where people were like a little nervous about what was going on with the boss, right? People were jumping ship, people were resigning,
Yes,
people were
they
getting out of the way, but people were very much afraid of what was happening and what he might do.
Yes.
Even leading up to January 6th.
Yes.
And after, because he was like, we're going to fight, all this stuff going on. You can imagine, if we heard what we heard, you can imagine what was going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Right? How crazy
Could you imagine how crazy it must have been while Trump was in
right? We're
office?
not leaving. We're not leaving. We're not leaving this place, and we're going to overturn the election. It's not right. And he was going on and on and on, and people were very much afraid of what he was going to do. And again, we still got a government and a country to run while all this distraction is going on. And so it makes sense that there was a lot of behind the scenes, not only in the country, but with other countries.
Right.
And countries like China, which we already had unstable relationships with, would certainly be asking questions about what's going on over there
Exactly.
and what possibly could happen. So, what is said is that General Milley was having conversations with his counterpart
Yes.
in the Chinese government.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, they were having discussions. And by the way, this is Milley, again, in service. Look at the face behind.
Look at him.
He's standing by. We have seen some interesting faces. People
Very
standing behind
behind Trump,
that is
or near Trump. Both of them, they
look enhanced counterintelligence operation. That's kind of one of those. What is he saying?
What is he saying?
He's like,
well,
what is he about? What is he about to say?
What is he capable of doing? What is? Well, you know what, Milley, he agreed with Nancy Pelosi that when she said that Trump was crazy.
Yeah.
He agreed.
That look, though.
And
that look says it
that's
all,
what the
man.
look says.
You got to say anything. Do you think he was nervous?
Look.
Do you think he was nervous?
Yes, he's probably thinking the whole time. He's
So-
thinking about the nuclear.
He's got the bomb. He's got the
ball.
football.
Yeah, what is this man going
What
to
is
do?
he? Nobody.
He looks very
everybody
disturbed.
was very concerned about what his potential. I believe this was the Secretary of State at the time. If I remember right. So you got not Secretary of Defense. I'm sorry, Secretary of Defense. So you've got these guys standing behind the president as he's talking about military strategy or whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is he? What is he gonna do? What's he gonna say? What are we gonna have to clean up now?"
Yes.
So in that kind of environment, you can only imagine. Now we take this stuff relatively lightly. Okay, we make some humor of it, but can you imagine what other foreign countries are thinking? I mean, they have to deal with the reality that this guy does have the ability to launch a nuclear missile, and not just one,
right?
but a bunch of them at any moment for whatever reason.
And Milley, he was actually concerned.
I'm gonna take it off that look. I can't.
With Trump's mental health.
I can't do it. I can't leave it there.
He's been quoted as saying that he was concerned with Trump's mental health.
Right. And so in the midst of this, right, he's again trying to maintain, number one, the safety, security of the country. He has the pulse of power at his fingertips. And he is responsible, for what happened. So he's got this other government that's on edge.
Right.
And concerned about, do we need to be preparing for something? Do we need to be ready? What's going to happen? What do you think he could possibly do? And so what I understand is that it is not unusual for these heads to have conversations behind the scenes.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Heads of countries in these different areas of responsibility will talk to each other, and that's hopefully one of the way they stay on the same page is by having those conversations. But in the midst of this, what came out this week was a level of detail implying that he was talking to them and saying, look, things may look a little bit ugly, a little unstable right now, but everything's under control. That part is one thing. But again, what was suggested was that he had said that number one, we're not going to bomb you. And number two, if we are going to do something, we'll give you notice. Now, okay, that concerns me. That's what concerns me, because my question is
that's the issue.
Yeah, well,
that's the issue.
Because I mean, you can have conversations. Yes, you can tell them, okay, everything's going to be okay. We're stable as a government. But in that aspect, you're in essence almost giving them part of our military strategy.
Right.
And that's where the question to me comes up to say, wait a minute, is that going to? First of all, did he really say that?
Did he say it?
And I think the question's still in the wind.
Was he usurping Trump's authority?
Well, that's ultimately where it gets to.
That's what it gets to.
He doesn't have the right to say we're not going to do something militarily.
And I'm sure that was a problem or an issue with Trump.
Trump is the commander in chief, right?
Exactly.
For better or for worse,
exactly.
He's the one that calls the shots. And so, number one, you can't make that decision. And number two, you're telling someone who could be our enemy
exactly
where our military strategy towards you is going to be.
Right.
So you'll tell them we won't bomb you, but if you decide to bomb you, are you going to not tell them then? So are you going to bomb us? No, we're not going to bomb you. Are you going to bomb us? Well, we probably shouldn't talk about that today. I mean, so what do you do? You're in essence inferring to them strategy, and if you're saying that if we're going to do some kind of military offense against you, we're going to tell you. Do you think they did that with Bin Laden? Do you think they did that with Iraq? Do you think they did that with? Do they do that with North Vietnamese as well? and tell them, look, we're about to attack you because you've been bad. Iraq, we're going to have some action against you. To some degree, they do. In some aspects, they may say there's going to be a military response, and they'll say that publicly, and then they'll do something. So maybe that's what he was applying. I don't know. But it really does leave a question. Now, Trump chimes into this and says, if that's what he said, then it's treasonous.
Of course he's going
and
to say that.
And he should be tried for treason.
Yes, that's what, yes.
And so, I'm stuck in this position of, does he have a point? Did he go too far? Is that appropriate or not?
It was pretty reckless.
Well, maybe not. It may have, but it also may have saved some serious stuff from happening by the Chinese.
Exactly.
Right? Because they could have gone to red alert or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Just in order, because they don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So on the one hand, he was helping to make sure that we kept things calm.
Right.
Right? And so that probably is also part of the job, right? Is to manage these relationships with foreign countries and foreign nationals, both our friends and foes, right? So we do know there are different people in the government that have communications with other people in other parts of the government all the time, other parts of other governments all the time. That communication line helps to keep things, on the same page.
Right.
So, there's a real big question here as to what did he really say? Did he really cross the line? Is there something here that should be investigated?
Well, I think he was in a precarious situation.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have Trump, who is, he's reckless in his words and his behavior.
Yep.
They're questioning his mental stability.
Mm-hmm.
And, Milley probably felt like he needed to say something to calm this down. And, a lot of people had to do cleanup.
Right.
A lot of people had to clean up Trump's words or some of the things that he said.
It's not so much that he did cleanup, but the question is, did he go too far with it? Did he cross the line?
He must have thought it was necessary.
Well, I'm sure
he must have thought it was necessary to say that. He's an intelligent man.
But still, there's only so much you can say. And the question is, did he cross the line? So, here's, one of the comments that's out there right now about, people asking, Milley went rogue. Did he go rogue? Put his activism over duty, joining many of the DC, who were out to get Trump. So, I think that's pushing a little far. Honestly, I don't think his intents had much to do with Trump.
No, I think he
was. Per se,
I think he was working for the greater good. I think that
he was trying
the greater good of the people.
He was working for the country.
The country, but for the greater good.
Right, and trying to make sure that he maintained a peaceful relationship. With China, which is no joke. That's
no.
If China, United States, Russia, China. Those are the three most powerful countries in the world, and China's a strong number two.
Oh yeah,
especially in military.
Definitely.
So
yes,
that's nothing to play with.
No.
And so was he doing his job? Yes. Did he cross the line? I think that's the real question. How much did he really commit to them? How much was he really able to say? By the way, he also went back to the others in the Joint Chiefs, and he emphasized to them, if anything is going to happen, it goes through me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, he is the Joint Chief, but he's like, if anything's going to happen, no sideline stuff here. You need to get my authorization, my sign off on any type of activity that's going to take place. So he got basically all the other groups in alignment. And remember, it is the senior general of the Army and of the Navy and of the Marines. All these people are reporting, this is who he's over.
Right.
Everybody who's over every primary militia in this country. And so he's telling them, look, if anybody, you get any signals from anybody else, anybody's giving you orders to do anything else, it comes back to me before you execute anything. Right. And so he took a really strong position to try and make sure that there weren't going to be no mistakes. Right. Because, that's oftentimes how a lot of these things happen, is an oops.
It's an oops. And you know what? It's the position that he is in.
So, I think he was certainly doing his job. I think he was handling his role under the circumstances. The real question is, did he push it too far? And I think there's probably going to be more to come on that, because, There are going to be, I'm sure, some people. Now, the only advantage to him right now is the Democrats are all in control. And, they're not going to argue with him defending the country while Trump was in the state of things that were going on. So in the Senate, in the House, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to start anything in terms of a true investigation against him. Right. If Trump and the Republicans were in office, or if they come back in office again in 2 years when they have new elections, it could be a different story. Mm-hmm. But for now, he's probably safe. And the President Biden has raised up and said, look, I'm in support of them. I believe in them, et cetera, so forth. But I think there's definitely a question there as to whether this was too much, too far, or not. So more to be seen on that. I guess we'll wait to see what happens.
Yes.
So anyway, that's kind of the week. That's pretty much what's happening. All kinds of things, as always. And, things will continue on. But I think I'm good. We don't have any callers. Nobody's called on us. Your brother must not have woken up. He went back to sleep.
He probably did. I did speak with him, and he was half asleep then.
He was dowsing off.
Yes,
so
he was.
He'll be calling about 9:55.
Like he did last time.
8:55 when we're already gone.
Yeah.
So, because we about to leave. I think we're good. We have done our job.
Yes.
We have made our points. We have shared what we have to share.
Yes.
And it's time to move on to the next thing that happens with us. So hopefully everybody, you enjoyed it. Those who get a chance to see this later.
Yes,
I want to remind you, don't forget to connect up to our YouTube channel. We want you to go there, sign up, subscribe to it, become, one of our subscribers. We need that number to keep climbing. So go to Conversations, Pam and David. And by the way, if you're on your live stream and there's a link in the bottom corner, you should be able to link up to that. I don't know if that's operating yet, but we'll get that operating soon. A direct link right there. But you can go on, type on YouTube, type Conversations, Pam and David, and you'll find us. Subscribe to the page. We need you. And share it with your friends. Share it with other people that are going on, what's happening and who we are, and we have some good conversations. And you can join us every Saturday night. Also, don't forget to check out our new, it's not here. We got a new page as well for the church, destinypreparation.org. And let's see. Go to that real quick. There we go. There you go. Our Destiny Preparation Church page. You can go there as well and pick up on that. All kind of things, all kind of information happening there about our services and who we are and all those wonderful things. So make sure and check that out as well. That's just destinypreparation.org. And we think you'll enjoy that as well. All right, everybody. I think we have had enough for the evening. It's actually been a great day. I've been a little calm, got a little rest, got some things done, caught up on some stuff.
We did.
And even got a little nap in, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. Tomorrow, we are going to be preaching about a change in seasons. So you're going to want to be a part of that. We got some good stuff to tell you about tomorrow, change in seasons, 11:30 a.m. Looking forward to having a great time. So we invite you to come and join us tomorrow as part of our service, 11:30 at Destiny Preparation Church. If you're in Rochester, join us there, 1405 Lyle Avenue. If you're not in town, then hey, you'll be able to catch us on the live stream. All right? Until next time, we're out of here.
Yes, we are.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Y'all have a good evening.
Yes, good evening.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Whether it's in the courtroom